Okay, so before I get into this video properly, just sort of like a quick disclaimer type of thing, I am not a qualified vocal coach. I am a gigging musician, I am a singer who is very passionate about vocals. I haven't had much in the way of formal training myself. I had some singing lessons in school, but not really any formal vocal training. And so I am not the best person to come to for really good vocal advice. I would happily direct people to the people that I have followed and have learnt from off of the internet, and that's where most of what I know about good vocal technique comes from and what I have applied to my own practices to get my voice to where I have it now. I do definitely want to actually get in a room with a vocal coach one day and tackle some of my issues with my own vocal. I can share some tidbits of advice with fellow gigging musicians on some of the basics, but if you are experiencing real issues with your vocal technique, then go get a vocal coach. There is no video on the internet that can fix that. Hi guys, it's Sam and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to the chaos. I do all things music related on this channel, from putting up covers and show reels to show people what I'm like as a performing artist, to my favourite style of content, production and songwriting style content, to things like this, which is kind of neither, and more related to the gigging musician side of things. So I make a huge amount of my income from gigs. I go out and I play the pubs and clubs circuit. I play private parties, weddings, things like that. So I spend a lot of my weekends out singing for long periods of time. I've had a lot of singers over the years talk to me about how hard they find it to do any sort of vocal warm-up. For one, they don't really know what to do in a vocal warm-up before their gigs, what exercises would be good to choose from, or how to do those exercises in an environment where you don't have access to a keyboard that you can just play through some exercises on. Maybe you don't even play keyboard. I don't play keyboard very well. I'm gonna try in this video for the sake of demonstrations, but it might not end well. And then there's the fact that, you know, it's quite difficult to find somewhere to warm up, and they feel silly warming up. So many people feel silly warming up for a pub gig. You know, they don't have a dressing area that they can go to. They're literally just, where they're set up in the pub, that's the space they've got. They could maybe go outside, they could maybe go in the loos, but that's it. That's what they've got access to. So I am here to, one, give you some exercises that you can do, some basic ones that are nice and simple and easy and that will help warm up your vocal well, and two, give you the confidence to stand in a pub, in a crowded pub, and do everything you need to do to warm up your vocal and relax your body and get yourself fit and ready to sing for your 2:45, 3:45, whatever set it is you're doing, and know that you are doing the right thing for you. This is 5 exercises, 5 genuine vocal exercises that I genuinely do to warm up before every gig. And I actually have a little exercise thing that I like to run through on Tone Gym. I've mentioned Tone Gym before. This isn't like a sponsored thing or anything like that, because I've not got enough followers for that. But I use Tone Gym as a training thing for ear training, but it also has some cool little helpful tools on there, and one of them they have a vocal warm-up playthrough thing, and you can actually make your own on there, and I have my own preset vocal warm-up that I do on there. It doesn't have every exercise that I would like to do, but it's got quite a few set ones of just set good sounds that you then just put in the notes that you want to sing those sounds on, and you tell it how many times you want to repeat that exercise and whether you want to go up or down, whether you want to go down and then back up or what. The downside to it is that you do need access to the internet to use it, so I always have to set up on my mobile hotspot to be able to use it, which is annoying. And they have set exercises on there. There are a few good beginner ones, but my routine will generally consist of these 5 different exercises. So let's get started. Exercise number 1, you have probably heard people talk about this exercise before. If you've had any advice about vocal exercises, you've been told to do this. There is no way to do this where I am not going to be spitting all over the place. I'm very, very sorry about this, guys. Some people call this blowing raspberries, but this isn't blowing raspberries. This is lip trills. Blowing raspberries is this. And we'll come back to that. Some people call it lip bubbles as well. I quite like that one, actually. Lip bubbles. That is quite an accurate description of what it is. Like when you're really tired and you're letting out a big sigh and you just go... And I would suggest that if you haven't done this exercise before and you're trying to get the hang of actually doing it, start by literally just practicing without a note. Don't start with a note, just practice taking a deep breath in and going. The point of this exercise is that you have to kind of let go of tension and you have to breathe out quite relaxedly. You know, you have to just let out a small amount of air to be able to do it for a long period of time. If you're going really hard like that, you'll see you can't actually do the exercise properly. You can't go with a really big harsh puff of air. It has to be a little bit of air just gently being let out through lips that are really relaxed. And that's why this is a good exercise, because it encourages you to let out a small amount of air and to completely relax all of the areas that can tense here. Once you've got the hang of literally just going, then you can start adding notes. I always like to start by literally just going for as long as you can. I can usually do it longer for that. That was quite embarrassing, actually. Pick somewhere in your range that is really comfortable for you, that middle area where you're not going really high, you're not going really low, just... I do like to sometimes actually go right down to the bottom of my range and see how long I can hold a note doing this, because it's a good way to just relaxedly open up your lowest range. Once you've got the hang of just doing a note for a nice long period of time, then the best way to use this exercise, and the way that I use most frequently for my warm-ups, is to go up and down about an octave or so. And I keep going up. Now for me, I like to go up until I start to hit the extremes of my higher register. This is also really great for if you're trying to practice reaching up for a note, placing it well, doing a run. Doing it on this is a really good way to practice it. So if you're struggling with a run, you know, something like that, then just do it on a... Exercise number 2. Another really basic one. This is the one that people think of and joke about most when you say vocal exercises. They turn to you and they go, ah. But it is literally pick a vowel, do an arpeggio. Arpeggio. Pick a vowel, I say, because you can do this on an R, and an R is a good one for just generally opening everything up. So we're not doing an ah, we're doing an ah. Round mouth. Ah. Nice and not open as wide as you possibly can. So it should feel like everything is nice and open in the back. That's what an ah sound should feel like. Ah. Don't feel the need to do it fast either. Ah. Your face should not change shape even as you go up to those higher notes. Now I said pick a vowel before because there are other vowels you can do this on, and really you would be picking a vowel based on what you might want to target. Another good one is an E. An E really encourages you to sort of push your voice through here, through your cheeks. E. It's important to note it's not an E, it's an E. If you're really struggling with tension, especially in those higher notes, ooh, for some reason it is just a really relaxed mouth shape. Okay, on to exercise number 3. This one is not one I necessarily do every single time. This is a slight lie, but I do it a lot. It's blowing raspberries. Is blowing raspberries. And the reason why blowing raspberries is good is because the lip trills are pretty relaxed, but they don't do much about tongue tension. The best thing, if you are really struggling with your tongue tension, because if I just tell you you've got tongue tension and your R's aren't right because you got tongue tension, that does nothing for you, does it? So you need something that actually makes you aware of your tongue tension and makes it impossible for you to hold on to said tongue tension. So if you're struggling with tongue tension, which I do quite a bit, then blowing raspberries kind of forces you to not tense your tongue. People who can't blow raspberries, the problem you're probably having is that you're sticking your tongue out and really like holding it there. So you need to just literally stick your tongue out, do it really relaxed, don't stick it out really far. Sticking it out really far will be part of what's causing all the tension, so just literally stick your tongue out in a really relaxed way and just blow air through it. And again, like with the lip trills, focus on just blowing the raspberry first before adding a note. As you get this right, you should feel how much less tense all of this area starts to become. Once you can blow the raspberry, then again, we just add a single note. And once you can do that, what I actually like to do is not like I do with the trills. I don't like to go... The biggest time I tend to notice it is when I'm trying to do things like runs. It's when I'm challenging my vocal agility. You'll notice some people when they go for runs, they do it with their chin. So I like to actually do something that has a bit of vocal agility in it. So again, basic runs, a basic scale is quite often what I like to go for. The temptation is to go... but you're not going to get good isolation between the notes, so you're not actually practicing very well. You want to practice really getting good isolation between the notes before you start speeding things up. And also, you're not getting in one of the most important things to all of these relaxed exercises, is making sure you can maintain it and you're controlling the air as it goes out. Doing it really fast allows you to cheat and use more air and not like really relax into the exercise. So do it slow. Exercise number 4. We're getting on to some of the more advanced ones. This is the point in my vocal warm-up routine where I am trying to push at the bigger bits of my voice. Mainly, I want to warm up my high belt and my mix. The best exercises for this, people will talk about trying to do a really bratty sound, because when you're especially trying to target your mix, what you're really going for is this very front feeling. Point being that in order to access that, there are some sounds that it's good to make. My personal favourite is neigh. Neigh! Neigh! As many a much better vocal coach than me has given this piece of advice, and I have lived by it. Make it sound like a bratty little cartoon character. And the neigh is a really good sound for doing this on because it's got that nasal start to it, and it's got that nice bright A vowel. And again, I will generally do an arpeggio on this. Neigh, 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 neigh. Now this is a slight lie because I'm demonstrating this as the basic form of it. This is not actually what I like to do. For this exercise, because I'm really trying to warm up those higher notes, I like to stay on them. The exercise I like to do is to go neigh, 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 neigh. It's really annoying, I know, but it is a good one. Before we get on to the final one, here are some honorary mentions. An sound is always really good. Again, just on some scales or arpeggios. Gliding between vowels, so going ah, ee, ooh, eh. These sorts of gliding between vowel exercises are quite good. And another personal favourite, hey! Hey! This is particularly good for warming up my belt and getting my belt in the right place. Hey! Hey! I also like, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, hey. It's the onset of the hey! So that's a good one for getting yourself up to the higher registers of your belt and feeling what it should feel like more. But exercise number 5. Exercise number 5 is one that you are going to adapt, but essentially it's a mixture of vowels and doing arpeggios and runs and scales, practicing your vocal agility and hitting that part of your range where you're going across your break point. So when you're shifting from your chest voice into your head voice, you want to be able to access your mix there so that you aren't getting that break in your voice. Sometimes you want that break in your voice. And so I like to do a complex vocal exercise. So here's the version that I do, and then I'll do some simplified versions you can try as well. You could also simplify it down to an Okay, that's all for the vocal exercises, but I just want to say a couple more things before I finish the video. If, as you're in the middle of doing your exercises, you know, you're going up through your range like that, you hit one and you don't hit it well, there is no shame in stopping and doing it again. The point of doing vocal exercises is not to do them perfectly. It's to focus on what you're feeling as you're doing them and making sure that they're doing their job of warming you up and getting you ready to perform. If you're consistently messing something up, simplify it. Practice that. Once you perfect that, then try the more complex thing. Do everything slow first of all. Don't feel the need to rush into them. And slower often is actually a little bit more challenging sometimes, with the exception of when it comes to vocal agility, where the faster you go, obviously that's harder. But slowing things down is always good for vocal exercises. The last and most important thing that I want to say is sort of a exercise number 6, but actually is the thing I would do before I do any of these. It's a thing that I don't actually see enough singers and vocal coaches talking about that I wish they talked about more. You use your body to sing, and holding tension in any of it is usually what leads to people straining and struggling and messing up. In order to get rid of that tension, one of the best things you can do is just to move your body and stretch it. So before I do anything else, I actually stretch. Just basic stretches, just up to the sky, down to my toes kind of thing. I will quite often do the arms and I will do the neck. For your face, if it's facial tension, just quickly massaging it out can really help. Same with like the top of your neck area. And obviously, drink plenty of water. And try to avoid water with ice in it. Anywho, that is all for this video. Feel free to share other bits of vocal advice in the comments that you have learned and other resources. I will be putting a couple of vocal coaches' profiles in my description that I like to follow, who I think are really good for advice. If you did enjoy this video, then you might enjoy what I post on this channel in general, in which case you might want to hit that subscribe button, but do feel free to check out some other content before you make the decision. I know it's a big one. All of my socials will also be linked in the description, along with a link to my Buy Me a Coffee, where there'll be a hilarious outtakes video from this video. There's a lot of outtakes here. Okay, I think that's everything, so I shall see you guys next week with another fun music-related video.
Something I still haven't found.